Okay, so sorry you guys if you can hear some birds chirping. It's pretty late at night, so yeah, I'm just gonna film this video and let's see how this goes. Okay, so spoiler warning, this video has heavy spoilers for Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War. So if you have not seen those movies, click away. Okay, so I saw Avengers Endgame 3 times in the theater in the span of 2 weeks. I know that is crazy to think, especially because I'm a teenager, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys did the same thing and might have even seen it more times than I have. I've only seen it once. It says come out on Blu-ray, but I think that's because I've already seen it 3 times in the theater. But I'm actually kind of glad I've waited this long to talk about it, because lately I've been doing more of breaking down movies and trying to find out what the meaning is. I didn't even watch Avengers Endgame again when I started doing this, but I thought about it and I realized that Avengers Endgame is the perfect movie to do this with. Not only because it's probably a much more popular movie than a lot of other character piece movies, but it also is one I think is the most important to society at this point in time. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I just want to say first that actually most Marvel movies are actually really good character piece movies. Tony Stark is a rich billionaire who, especially in Iron Man 3, is depressed and is trying to cope with the events of the Battle of New York. Captain America is a man who sacrificed himself to save millions, but with it he wouldn't be able to see his new love for 70 years, and then should be very old and almost passed away. Thor is a little bit of a trickier character to do, but he is a person who needs to cope with a mischievous brother and coming from a fictional world trying to connect with an Earth female. Like I said, Thor is a trickier one to discuss, but that's the best I can do. But pretty much all of the characters have similar things like that. Black Widow, Hawkeye, and a bunch of other characters have very good character studies as well. Before we get started, I just want to say that Spider-Man, to me, is the most relatable. Tom Holland just does a perfect job on how a teenager should actually be in real life, how the Spider-Man MCU movies balance out Peter's Spider-Man life and his normal life is fantastic. And yes, I know about the thing going on with Spider-Man. I'm not going to mention it in this video, but I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Just so you know, when I talk about the movie, although I will be talking about the character studies of the movies that have been built over the past 21 previous movies, I really will not be talking about any specific scene from previous movies. Although I remember the general plots of those movies, those are probably specific. There are probably specific character scenes that I won't remember from those, so I will not touch on them. It will mostly be about Avengers Endgame and a little bit of Infinity War. Anyway, so back to Avengers Endgame. Okay, so now for stuff you guys almost definitely already know. At the end of Infinity War, the big bad Thanos completed his goal of the whole movie by wiping out half of the universe, which he thinks will be the better for the world. The heroes feel deep loss for all the heroes they just lost. Okay, now back to the main point of this vid, Avengers Endgame. The main purpose of the movie, I feel, is to show all of these stories built over the past 10 years finally paid off, not just in story context, but also in character motivation as well. In the movie, there are 3 character motivation plots. Tony realizing that millions of people lost loved ones, so he wants to help bring them back, although he doesn't want to lose his new daughter. The second is Clint, although doing some dangerous work, wants to help bring back everyone due to his family getting dusted in the snap. And the third is pretty much everyone else, who has motivations for their lost ones, but it's not as big as Tony and Clint's. Now this leads to my next thing, the sacrifice it takes to get to the end. Like they said in all the marketing to the movie, whatever it takes, and also all the hashtags people put out there on their journey to seeing the movie. Anyway, the sacrifices are another key point of the movie. Black Widow made her sacrifice instead of Clint because she knew that he had a life ahead of him with his family, and she did not want him to lose it. What I find to be the most interesting, though, is Iron Man's sacrifice, because it's the exact opposite of why Black Widow sacrificed herself. While Black Widow felt like she had no life ahead of her for her sacrifice, Tony knew he had a life ahead of him with his young daughter, but he knew that a million people had lost their lives, and he knew he had to do what was best for everyone by snapping away Thanos' army for good. I love that this movie does 2 contracting sacrifices because it shows how many ways people can do stuff for their loved ones and the world, even if that means going to their death. Okay, I know this is definitely still bugging some people about the movie, and it's still bugging me a little bit too, but it's the time travel aspect. At first I didn't like the time travel aspect, and I didn't like it was even in the movie. Time travel is very hard to pull off. Even great time travel movies like Back to the Future, which just happens to be my favorite movie of all time, still has problems with its time travel. By the way, I really want to do a video on that movie. Anyway, after I watched the movie on Blu-ray, I realized that, although I still have some problems with the time travel aspect, I found that it is actually a really big part of the character piece of the movie, and that's because of how the characters reconnect with the characters they have lost in their past. I will admit, when I first saw the New Jersey scene, I thought it was very unnecessary, but now I think that it's actually one of the most important scenes in the entire movie. That's because of Tony's interaction with his father and Steve seeing Peggy through her window. I'll talk about the Tony and Howard one first. They do some great reactions with Tony and Howard that even were pretty funny. But shockingly, it's Steve's encounter I think is the most powerful. Tony hasn't seen his father in a long time, but Steve has promised Peggy that dance 70 years ago, and he never got it. It's a scene that gives Steve the motivation to visit Peggy by time traveling to the 40s at the end. And yes, I think that the whole Steve Rogers thing at the end as an old man was a little bit out of place. It makes sense why they have it in there because it makes sense for the character arc. I also love Thor's interaction with his mom. It is a really powerful scene that also has some great dialogue. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Fat Thor or Bro Thor, as that's what I hear people call him, and that's what apparently his official name is. Anyway, you guys are probably wondering, what do you mean by this movie is a very important movie in today's society? This is what I think really makes the movie what it is. In a society where hate crimes happen in shootings and fights, we keep on forgetting what matters the most. Our family and our friends that help us through everything. And this is why the movie needs to be seen by everyone. Even if you're not a superhero or comic book fan, this movie needs to be seen by everyone. This movie has moments on why people, even if they are fictional characters, do what they do. They do it for people they care about and the people that know they lost people that they cared about. And, after thinking about it, this is what the MCU is building up to. What the heroes do, what they do for everyone, this is why superheroes exist. They are there to entertain us, yes, but they are also there to help others. This is a movie that I think needs to be viewed by everyone so people know that even if you're not Iron Man, you can still have a heart. Thanks for watching.
It's gonna work out exactly the way it's supposed to. I love you 3000.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you don't miss any future videos.